Now my pleasure to invite Tim and Goldie Morrison to lead us in Candles and Kiddush. We'll begin on page 3 with a reading in English by Goldie. Thank you both for volunteering to do this.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who houses us with this vote, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
As he setteth lights,
Give light to all who behold them, so may we, in our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generation of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our new day, be among those who kindle light.
We turn now to the Kiddush on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri haggah. Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Now we can really say Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Goldie. We continue with a special prayer for healing. Source of healing, cast the light of health and well-being upon those who have been exposed to the coronavirus, those who have contracted the disease and those who are susceptible to contracting the disease in the future. Bless them, protect them, bring them speedily to a full recovery. Bless all who are ill with healing of body and healing of soul and healing of spirit. Baruch atah Adonai makor ha'chaim, blessed are you, Adonai, the source of life. We continue now on page 8. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics or services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy and to illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We turn now to page 20 for Lecha Dodi.
Shabbat.
now on page 28 for our call to worship the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach, Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever. Page 31. This is the hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Please join me in the Shema on page 34.
Your
with the words of the Ve'ahavta, which can be found on page 36. Ve'ahavta, 8, Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'chol nafshecha, u'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam. V'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, u'shoch b'cha uvkumecha. U'kshartam la'ot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totofot beinenecha. Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. L'ma'an tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai. V'item kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood on Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter into the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. The words to Yismachu are at the bottom of page 44. Please sing or at least clap along. Rise now for the tefillah on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufia tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh Hakol v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem L'ma'an Shemo Ba'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, God of our fathers and our mothers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, God of Sarah, God of Rebekah, God of Rachel, and God of Leah, the great, mighty, and awesome God who bestows loving kindness, creates everything out of love, remembers the love of fathers and mothers, and brings redemption to their children's children for the sake of the divine name. Sovereign, deliverer, helper, and shield, blessed are you, Adonai, Sarah's helper, Abraham's shield. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. You are forever mighty, Adonai. You give life to all. You rain dew upon us. You sustain life through love, giving life to all. Through great compassion, supporting the fallen, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of mighty acts? Who resembles you, a sovereign who takes and gives life, causing deliverance to spring up and faithfully giving life to all? Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol. Please join me on page 52. You are holy. Your name is holy. And those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. There's a special prayer for Sukkot on page 56. We only get to read this once a year, so let's not miss that. Our God and God of our fathers and mothers, on this day of Sukkot, be mindful of us and all your people Israel for good and for love, for compassion, life, and peace. Remember us for well-being. Amen. Visit us with blessing. Amen. Help us to a fuller life. Amen. And we turn now to the prayer for peace, which can be found on page 60. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people, forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvorech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom.
Take now a moment for silent prayer. Middle of page 253, page 253, you'll find the words to the Mishaberach, which is a prayer for hope and for healing in a time when we need hope and healing most of all. And we're thinking as we sing these words of those who are providing hope and healing for our community and our nation and our world, caring for others, supporting us all, and bringing us health and healing. For those in need of healing in hospitals and nursing homes, for those recovering at home from illness or injury, for all of us and all our world, we ask this blessing, Mishaberach, may we be healed. Kohelet is the oddest of biblical books. We read it as a special Haftarah reading for Shabbat during our festival of Sukkot, which is an odd choice in itself. Called Ecclesiastes in English Bibles, the name of this book itself is a mystery. The word Kohelet comes from the Hebrew word kahal, which means congregation, and it's usually translated as a preacher. And yet, Ecclesiastes is, if one can say this, the least religious book in the Bible. Traditionally associated with King Solomon as its author, the honest truth is we don't know who wrote it, or when, or why, really because it challenges all the traditional understandings of reward and punishment, of the order of the universe, and the certainty of God's justice as they're presented in the Torah. And yet, it's brilliant, and it's questioning, and it's beautifully written in poetics, and thoughtfully musing on the meaning of life of an old soul who's lived a long and prosperous life. Why do we read Ecclesiastes on Sukkot? Well, it seems clear that the rabbis arranged a cycle of readings for the Haftarah more than 1,000 years ago, and they wanted to include each of the 5 scrolls, Song of Songs, Ruth, Lamentations, Ecclesiastes, and Esther, as the special holiday readings throughout the year. We read Esther on Purim, that's kind of obvious. Lamentations is a dirge for the destruction of Jerusalem, so that gets read on Tisha B'Av, which commemorates that tragedy. Ruth is a harvest festival, so we read that at harvest time around Shavuot. And Song of Songs is filled with images of springtime and love, so we read that one on Passover. Sukkot didn't end up with a scroll to read, and Ecclesiastes didn't have a holiday attached to it, so by process of elimination, we're reading the most unlikely of books on Sukkot. But the real question is not why we read Ecclesiastes now on Shabbat Sukkot, but why we read this book at all in synagogue services. The words of Kohelet might best be described as a multivocal depressive tirade on the futility of life. Often presented as wisdom literature, even the search for wisdom is itself degraded in the book as a vain pursuit. Not the sort of stuff you'd expect to see in a religious service, or frankly to be found in the pages of the Bible at all. And yet, perhaps the content of the book and its timing of reading on Sukkot are exactly why we read and should read these words tonight. Let's begin with the words of Kohelet, chapter 3, perhaps the best known and best loved of the poems of the book of Ecclesiastes. Please join me first in the blessing. It ends, Al Mikra Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, al mikra Megillah. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who commands us to read the Megillah. So this is from chapter 3 of the book of Ecclesiastes, and I'm hoping you at least recognize the chorus. To everything there's a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to rear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. The point of this poem seems an effort to embrace the certainty of the uncertainty of our lives. All things come in time, good things and bad, happy and sad, and the lesson is that we should appreciate the good times while they last and recognize in hard times that they need not last forever. Better times will come to balance it all. Coming so soon after Yom Kippur, these words of wisdom strike an interesting book note for the more certain expectations of good people being rewarded and bad people being punished, which resides within so many of the classical high holiday prayers. We all have our favorite prayers for the high holidays, I know. Most of our favorites we celebrate in song and melodies, which stir our hearts and bring tears to our eyes or tingling chill across our skin. Kol Nidre, Avinu Malkeinu, or Shema Kolenu, are first among them. And we all have our least favorite prayers as well. For me, that's Unatana Tokev, the one about the book of life. That probably tops the list for many of us, and it's the most challenging prayer of them all. The image of a God poring over a book of life, inscribing our fate, who shall live and who shall die, and even the manner of that fate, who by water and who by fire, for all the awe and terror this may invoke to move us towards a life of goodness and blessing. This is a far cry from Ecclesiastes' vision of a life where all will come in time, and perhaps this is precisely why Ecclesiastes is so well chosen as our Haftarah reading for tonight. Judaism has always offered a balance between the extremes of unyielding fate and our free will to choose, between the certainties of God's justice and even the Bible's long-established tradition of questioning God for the sake of justice and mercy, and our own responsibility as partners with God in the building of a world that is more just and more fair for all of us to live in. And the key to understanding this all comes at the end of the book of Ecclesiastes, the part most scholars tell us is a later addition to the work. It says, "The end of the matter, having all been heard, be a God-fearing person, righteous and ethical in your life, and keep God's commandments, for this is all it means to be human." The words of Kohelet is a deep call, beyond the harsh carrot and stick or blessing and curse admonishments of the High Holy Day liturgy, towards the wisdom which teaches us to do the right thing, not out of fear of punishment or hope of reward, but to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. In a world where bad things happen to good people and life is not always fair, Ecclesiastes calls us to be a force for good, for the sake of our broken world, which needs us to stand up for justice all the more. We are a people who dwell in booths for the festival of Sukkot, as a reminder of the fragile nature of our lives, and as a reminder that the shelter of peace we create amidst life's storms, these greatest works of our hands in bringing God's sheltering presence into our lives, in the bringing of our world together as one. May the work of our hands be blessed. May the work of our hands bring blessing. Modim l'simcha, may we cherish the blessings of joy this Sukkot. Amen. Our anthem, not surprisingly, I hope, is Turn, Turn, Turn. And the words are actually in the prayer book, page 373.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time
We turn now to our concluding service, the Aleinu, which can be found in the middle of page 283. Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else. Continue on page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. Page 291. There are stars up above. So far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with the people that we've loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though the time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways that we remember. This week in our congregation, we particularly remember the names of John A. Danello, Shirley Tanchester Reese, Joseph Adamkin, Daniel J. Allen, Louis Atlas, Robert Paul Baker Jr., Samuel Burnson, Joan Campbell, Leah Cassell, Jeffrey Cohen, May G. Cohen, Ben Davis, Nellie Dravelman, Lamar Guerin, Rose Goldstein, Harry L. Goodman, Ida Green, Raymond Katz, Marjorie Klein, Andrea Kling, Harris Lefkowitz, Lillian Levins, Adele Linker, James Lipton, Milton Morgulin, Herman Netter, Heinz Oppenheim, Ruth Ornstein, Gennady Pashulin, Irene Dworin Rosenfield, Lillian Ross, Todd Sayer, Lucy Shapiro, Eva A. Silk, Minnie Waldman, Paul Wertheim, Kitty Wing, and Rose D. Uden. And two past and recent days, Ellen Beresdorfer and Tyrese Smith. Zichronam livracha. May their memories reside in us always for blessing, as we rise for the Kaddish on page 294. Yid gadal v'yid kadash shemei rabba, balma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, V'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehesh me rabam vorach l'olam ulmei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kurisha b'richu. Leilo min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehi shloma rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, Amen. Our closing song for Sukkot is Hallelujah, and it's also on page 373. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, God of all the generations of Israel, be our help. May your blessings of shalom, wholeness, and peace descend upon us like a cleansing rain. Bring us hope and draw us towards holiness in our lives and in the life of your people throughout the world. Bless us with courage to face our challenges, wisdom to heal the sick, courage to strive for justice and peace, and compassion always to care for those in need. Bless us all, those we love, with the blessing of Sabbath peace. Adonai oz la'amo yitein. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God bless our people with strength. May God bless all peoples with peace. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.